Hey everyone, Healer Kimberly here. Nice to see you. Today is Monday, February 16th, 2026, and I'm starting something new. There's been multiple occasions where I have attempted to start my platform. Never feeling quite right though. So I've recently had, a period of time that I've had to myself. My car was broken down. I was unexpectedly on a vacation. And it caused me to really dive deep, into thinking, how can I really, really help people? What is my path? Now, I do have a healing program, a 50-day healing program that's called Spirituality, the Final Frontier. And I was attempting to start forward with that. And that's what seemed incorrect, because really it's an educational tool. It's a product that I sell. It's not really something that's for me to express out in the open airwaves because, it requires attention to be highly effective. So what then would a healer bring to the table for the benefit of the people? So my own story, I had a long process of spiritual enlightenment. I've been through many, many things in my life. Many things. And I came to this point of spiritual understanding. I understood so much about spirituality and many of the different modalities. But the one thing that I was still having difficulty with was moving forward in my full authenticity, my full understanding of spirituality, being okay with it, being okay with being authentic, and allowing myself to really see truth all around me. Because being able to see truth all around you is a component to the success of your personal authenticity, right? So what happened during my own growth process is that I had a woman who I considered as my life coach. And there came that point in time where she also recognized that I had a lot up here. But when it came to orchestrating that in my life, that's where my hang-up was. I was holding on to it for dear life. And what she did was she gave me the best gift that anyone has ever given me in my whole entire life, except for my children, of course. She sent me this book. It's called A Course in Miracles. It's a prophetic book, actually. And in this particular book, it's the text, a workbook, and a manual for teachers. I was so thirsty for this. It's 700 and something pages for just the text part. I couldn't put it down until I read it all. And then the workbook is one idea for every day of the year. So it's 365 days of looking at life just a little bit differently. And that's exactly what this book teaches you. It teaches you how to look at life a little bit differently, because when we rise into our most authentic selves, the only thing that really changes is our minds, how we perceive things and our place within them, how to then orchestrate our most authentic selves into the world that's still following the matrix. And this is the book that helped me do that. And as you can see by the condition of her, with tape on the binding and everything, I didn't replace the Bible with this. The Bible was my foundation. My religion was my foundation, is my foundation in spirituality. But the Course in Miracles helps me live my spirituality, helps me live my beliefs in religion by simply helping me understand things from a different perspective. So with all of that being said, what I chose to begin broadcasting on the locals community, Easy to Be Great, that's the number 2 and the letter B, easy to be great.locals.com. And, on YouTube and Rumble as well. I decided that every day I was going to come on and I was going to start in the very beginning of the book and read an excerpt from the book and have a little discussion, and then move on to the workbook and do each lesson every day. and stick with it for 365 days. That's my plan, and today's day one. So if you're still with me, I welcome you into the rest of your life. A life that you've never imagined until now. And maybe even not yet, but certainly soon. Because when you begin to see things differently, you begin to understand the only barriers that we have in front of us are the barriers that we place in front of ourselves. And it really does open up the rest of your life to more beauty and more peace, more creativity, more real love, genuine relationships than ever before. Ever before. So with all that being said, let's dig right into it, okay? Now, the way that this book is structured, it has an introduction in the beginning of the text. It has an introduction in the beginning of the workbook. The first chapter and the first section of chapter number 1 is a list of the principle of miracles. There's 50 of them. So what we're going to do with that, because there's so many and they're each have such a level of importance, what we're going to do is on our first day, we're going to read the first principle of miracle from section 1, and then we're going to read section 2. We're going to go right into section 2. And then every day for the next 50 days, we'll be reading one of the principles of miracles from section 1, chapter 1. Okay, you with me? So let's get right into it. Let's first start with the introduction. This is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Okay. Then right into chapter 1, the meaning of miracles. Section 1, principles of miracles. Principle number 1. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. Not one is harder or bigger than another. They are all the same, and all expressions of love are maximal. That means it doesn't matter what size our challenge is, what expanded imagination that we have of things that we would like to create. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It doesn't matter how wrong or how right it might seem. These are all judgments that we place upon our free-flowing creativity and desire and love. That's why it says all expressions of love are maximal. Because love is all-encompassing. Just like miracles are all-encompassing. One little act of love is a tremendous act of love in the universe in which we live. The energetic vibration of love touches so many things with every expression of it. It doesn't matter how big or how small the impact is. Magnificent. So our first lesson is to understand that we don't have limitations. And it doesn't matter what we've done or what we haven't done in the past. What matters is right now, today. The miracles that you seek are right within you, and they're called love. And the minute you begin cultivating that love, miracles big and small appear, but not out of thin air. They've always been there. Your expression of love raises your energetic vibration to meet the love that already exists. Truth. Okay, now let's get right into chapter 2. Excuse me. Excuse me, it's chapter 1, section 2, Revelation, Time, and Miracles. And forgive me, I feel a little bumpy here because this is our first day. I promise I'll be a little more smooth going forward. Stick with me. I appreciate your contribution and participation. Section 2, Revelation, Time, and Miracles. Revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. It reflects the original form of communication between God and his creations, involving the extremely personal sense of creation, sometimes sought in physical relationships. Physical closeness cannot achieve it. Miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Revelation unites you directly with God. Miracles unite you directly with your brother. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. Consciousness is a state that induces action, though it does not inspire it. You are free to believe what you choose, and what you do attests to what you believe. Revelation is intensely personal and cannot be meaningfully translated. That is why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. Revelation induces only experience. Miracles, on the other hand, induce action. They are more useful now because of their interpersonal nature. In this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. Awe should be reserved for revelation, to which it is perfectly and correctly applicable. It is not appropriate for miracles because a state of awe is worshipful, implying that one of a lesser order stands before his creator. You are a perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. The miracle is therefore a sign of love among equals. Equals should not be in awe with one another because awe implies inequality. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me. An elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience and obedience for his greater wisdom. He is also entitled to love because he is a brother, and to devotion if he is devoted. It is only my devotion that entitles me to yours. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. This leaves me in a state which is only potential in you. No man cometh unto the Father but by me does not mean that I am in any way separate or different from you, except in time, and time does not really exist. This statement is more meaningful in terms of a vertical rather than a horizontal axis. You stand below me and I stand below God. In the process of rising up, I am higher because without me, the distance between God and man would be too great for you to encompass. I bridge the distance as an elder brother to you on the one hand, and as a son of God on the other. My devotion to my brothers has placed me in charge of the sonship, which I render complete because I share it. This may appear to contradict the statement, I and my Father are one, but there are two parts to the statement in recognition that the Father is greater. Revelations are indirectly inspired by me because I am close to the Holy Spirit and alert to the revelation readiness of my brothers. I can thus bring down to them more than they can draw down to themselves. The Holy Spirit mediates higher to lower communication, keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. Revelation is not reciprocal. It proceeds from God to you, but not from you to God. The miracle minimizes the need for time. In the longitudinal or horizontal plane, The recognition of the equality of the members of the sonship appears to involve almost endless time. However, the miracle entails a sudden shift from horizontal to vertical perception. This introduces an interval from which the giver and receiver both emerge farther along in time than they would otherwise have been. The miracle thus has a unique property of abolishing time to the extent that it renders the interval of time it spans unnecessary. There is no relationship between the time a miracle takes and the time it covers. The miracle substitutes for learning that might have taken thousands of years. It does so by the underlying recognition of perfect equality of giver and receiver on which the miracle rests. The miracle shortens time by collapsing it, thus eliminating certain intervals within it. It does this, however, within the larger temporal sequence. So let's talk about that for a moment. That's the end of section 2. This is just another understanding that the miracle is forever present. The matrix, if you will, causes us to believe that we're always experiencing a time period. But what that time period is a recollection or a recreation of a time period already past, of lessons already learned, to keep the cycle moving in the same direction without change. The reality of us is that the Most High Creator has created it all. Absolutely everything. He allows mistakes and error and chaos only for the point of learning a lesson, but the lesson is not elusive. The answer is not somewhere else. The problem and the solution always exists in the same space. Our belief that it continues on without answer is our error. Time, as we call it, the cyclical happening of events throughout history into our present, is nothing more than the belief that the problem hasn't already been solved. The problem was already solved. Love was the answer. Love has always been the answer. Learning from our brothers and sisters, seeing them equally enables the channels of communication and education to exist. Our assignment of importance of one over another. And in this case, I explain this is prophetic. This is Jesus speaking to us. Jesus, our brother, put himself in the position of both brother and son and calls himself equal to you and me as he is equal to our Father. That creates an equality. Only for understanding and perceptual time do we need the assignment of any one thing or being greater than another. And its only intention is to keep us in a small-minded thought process, always focusing on a problem that never really has a solution, because we're looking for something that's already been. The understanding of this particular concept is a big one, I know. It challenges nearly everything you think about. But it is the greatest truth of all of it. We are all equal. We were all created with the same intention for us. Our only job is to be all of that, to allow the corrections that have already come into existence to actually play out, rather than feeling like we always are running after, trying to find a solution that already exists. Okay, so let's move on to, excuse me for one moment. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Anyway, let's get right into the workbook now. Before we start the workbook, actually there's an introduction that I'm going to read to you before we get started with the first lesson. I wanted to forewarn you, okay? When I first looked at that workbook, the first lesson is like, what? What are you trying to teach me? So I just want to tell you about it ahead of time, because my knee-jerk reaction on the very first lesson was like, I don't know about this. And I had to take it to Dad. I'm like, what do you think about this? You know, this seems different. And my whole thing is that I never wanted to step on the Most High Creator's toes, okay? I was and have always been faithful to him, right? So the last thing I wanted to do was make the wrong step. And after I listened to the workbook lesson 1, I was like, oh, I don't know. But Dad told me to keep on going, and I'm really glad I did, because like I showed you, it's become my guide to living my life. What's really happening, let me explain to you what I eventually learned after allowing myself to keep moving forward, is that from a scientific perspective, our thoughts and the way that we think actually are like little roads in our brain, little pathways of thinking. And our brains automatically will always take the path of least resistance, okay? That's what makes habits hard to break, because our brain has created a path for that negative behavior, whether it be alcoholism or drug addiction or whatever it could be. Our mind has created this path, and we must replace. If we're trying to change that or break a habit, what's important is that we begin to focus on other things, so then we're creating a new path of thinking. And by repetition, then that new path then begins to be the path that's the easiest to travel, because it's the most used. It's very simple. This is how alcoholics utilize their thought process in helping alcoholics. You're not, all you're really doing is removing the path in the mind that keeps taking you down the path of alcoholism, and you're replacing it with something that's better for you. That's why you would see like drug addicts sometimes, or alcoholics, become fitness buffs, because they're replacing their behaviors with something that's more productive and beneficial for them, okay? It's the same way when it comes to finding your most authentic self, becoming more spiritually enlightened. Our minds are so focused on always looking for the solution rather than acknowledging that the solution is there, that our minds have this automatic knee-jerk reaction to a lot of different things, to vocabulary, to judgment, to what we assign things as in our world. And when we get into this workbook, it's going to take you back to the point where you will question the things around you and your assignment of what they are. What's happening is that your brain is now questioning what you already knew. It is opening up a footpath of new information to emerge. And once you begin working through these workbook lessons, this path is another step in, another step in, another step in. You can backtrack anytime you want. You are completely in control. Understand that. With this expanded understanding and this new path developing, what you are doing is allowing yourself to see truth. The truth that you are loved. The truth that the solution already happened. The truth that we're just prolonging something that's already done. This is a necessary portion of spirituality. And like I said in the beginning, it might be a little bit off-putting because it's so different. But if you have any trepidation over it all, I suggest that you do what I did and take it back to Dad. Because Dad's going to tell you whether that's for you or it's not. Not fear, not the judgment from the outside world that's still trapped in the illusion of time, of problems. You can't rely on that to make such a monumental decision for your greatness. The only one that you can really rely on for that question is Dad. He's the only one that truly knows who you are. Inside and out, up and down, side to side, from beginning to end. He knows your path. He knows of your greatness. And he's the one that intended you into being and intended your life to be X, Y, and Z. So when you take it back to Dad and ask him what he wants for you, is this the right path for you? That's the voice that you trust. It may be that this method of education isn't quite for you, maybe even not quite for you just yet. But the idea of it all is meant for each one of us. How we approach it and how we attain it may be different. But the attainment of it is the goal. Okay? So let's get right into the workbook. Let's start with the introduction. A theoretical foundation such as the text provides is necessary as a framework to make the exercise in this workbook meaningful. Yet it is doing the exercises that will make the goal of the course possible. An untrained mind can accomplish nothing. It is the purpose of this workout to train your mind to think along the lines the text sets forth. The exercises are very simple. They do not require a great deal of time, and it does not matter where you do them. They need no preparation. The training period is 1 year. The exercises are numbered from 1 to 365. Do not undertake to do more than one set of exercises a day. The workbook is divided into 2 main sections. The first dealing with the undoing of the way you see now, and the second with the acquisition of true perception. With the exception of the review periods, each day's exercises are planned around one central idea, which is stated first. This is followed by a description of the specific procedures by which the idea for the day is to be applied. The purpose of the workbook is to train your mind in a systematic way to a different perception of everyone and everything in the world. The exercises are planned to help you generalize the lessons so that you will understand that each of them is equally applicable to everyone and everything you see. Transfer of training in true perception does not proceed as does transfer of the training of the world. If true perception has been achieved in connection with any person, situation, or event, total transfer to everyone and everything is certain. On the other hand, one exception held apart from true perception makes its accomplishments anywhere impossible, meaning that this is an all or nothing thing. There are pains and beliefs that many of us hold due to fear, due to, maybe familial ideology. What this book is asking us to do is to allow our minds to be open for something new to come in so that you have the opportunity to compare what you have learned to what you know and to evaluate it for yourself. The only general rules to be observed throughout then are, first, that the exercises be practiced with great specificity, you get it, as will be indicated. This will help you to generalize the ideas involved to every situation in which you find yourself and to everyone and everything in it. Second, be sure that you do not decide for yourself that there are some people, situations, or things to which the ideas are inapplicable. This will interfere with the transfer of training. The very nature of true perception is that it has no limits. It is the opposite of the way you see now. The overall aim in the exercises is to increase your ability to extend the ideas you will be practicing to include everything. This will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer. Some of the ideas the workbook presents you will find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling. This does not matter. You are merely asked to apply the ideas as you are directed to do. You are not asked to judge them at all. You are asked only to use them. It is their use that will give them meaning to you and will show you that they are true. Remember only this: you need not believe the ideas. You need not accept them, and you need not even welcome them. Some of them you may actively resist. None of this will matter or decrease their efficiency. But do not allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas the workbook contains. And whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. Nothing more than that is required. Lesson 1. Nothing I see in this room or on this street, from this window, or in this place means anything. Now look around you and practice applying this idea very specifically to whatever you see. This table does not mean anything. This chair, it does not mean anything. This hand doesn't mean anything. This foot doesn't mean anything. This pen, I don't have a pen, doesn't mean anything. Then look farther away from your immediate area and apply the idea to a wider range. That door doesn't mean anything. This body, that body, doesn't mean anything. The lamp means nothing. The sign over there doesn't mean anything. The shadow over here, none of it means anything. Notice that these statements are not arranged in any order and make no allowance for differences in the kinds of things to which they are applied. That is the purpose of the exercise. The statement should merely be applied to anything you see. As you practice the idea for the day, use it totally indiscriminately. Do not attempt to apply it to everything you see, for these exercises should not become ritualistic. Only be sure that nothing you see is specifically excluded. One thing is like another as far as the application of the idea is concerned. Each of the first 3 lessons should not be done more than twice a day each, preferably morning and evening, nor should they be attempted for more than a minute or so, unless that entails a sense of hurry. A comfort sense of leisure is essential. So what's happening here? Let me get into this. As I've said already, time is something that we've perpetuated. And within that block of time, we have assigned meaning to many, many things. Right now, there are things that are seemingly inconsequential. A table, a pen, glasses, a chair, a body, a sign. But that also opens us up to another level of understanding. Well, if I've assigned what the meaning of this chair is, if I've made that up, then anything else that I observe and call a chair will have that same exact attribute to it, whether that's truth or not. This chair may be something completely different, but because I sit on it and it holds me up while I'm sitting at the desk, somebody called it a chair, so I'm going to call it a chair. And a chair has this function. But really, this chair is free. This chair could possibly serve as a ladder, right? It could possibly serve as a barrier. But will we call it a chair or will we call it a ladder then? Will we call it a chair or call it a barrier? The idea is that our mind has assigned the meaning and the purpose to everything, but that each meaning and purpose was pre-assigned by someone else, and we've adopted that way of thought. At any time, I could stop calling this a chair, and call it a ladder. It'll still be a chair, but it will also be a ladder. And our minds have become so constricted in this thinking, it excludes the possibility of things having any other meaning. And it's acceptance of a greater meaning that we seek now. I know it sounds a little odd, this lesson, but it doesn't matter whether it seems odd or not. What it's doing is using the machete, cutting down all of the vines that are blocking your vision. Another road of thought that is entirely applicable to everything that you are. So allow yourself to identify the things that are around you. Again, it doesn't have to be everything, and you certainly don't want to do it all day, but it will come to your mind from time to time. And it's okay to say, well, you know what? That card has no meaning. This coffee has no meaning. And just let it be. Don't think about it anymore. State it and continue on your day. The machete, from the first thought that you had about it, already started to work. The door of your mind is beginning to open so you can find the true love and purpose and authenticity that you are. I love you. Like I said, I hope to get a little more polished in this performance here, but it's not a performance. It's me and you, soul to soul, having a conversation about life and what it really is, so that we can make it all that it can be by removing the barriers that we've placed around it together. Have a good day. Talk to you again tomorrow. Bye for now.